Hello, I'm Kelly O'Day, Sustainability Assessment Program Manager. Thank you for sharing your time with us today. We are recording this webinar and attendees will be muted. Please post your questions in the Q&A box, not in the chat, as you think of them. And we will answer questions during the Q&A time at the end. To help us get to know each other better, please add your name and your affiliation, department, major, or organization to the chat box. Share with both attendees and presenters. And now I will turn the mic over to Camille Kirk, our Director of Sustainability, to begin our event.
Thank you, Kelly, and welcome everyone. I echo Kelly in saying thank you for choosing to spend time with us today. When we held our summit online last year, I didn't really think that we'd be holding another one online this year, almost 15 months after the onset of the pandemic. So I suppose during the summit last year, I did imagine we would be back on the Davis campus together in one room for this year's summit. And I did imagine that I would be physically on the Davis campus when I invoked the land acknowledgement that centers meetings like this in a context of recognition. Recognition for all the injustice that has taken place and recognition for the human capacity to listen and learn and to restore and repair. In a year that has seen many grave injustices perpetrated and a lot of devastation wreaked, let us start with an acknowledgement of the capacity and the necessity to restore and repair. And let us acknowledge the land on which UC Davis is located. For thousands of years, this land has been the home of the Patwin people. Today, there are 3 federally recognized Patwin tribes: Kachil-Dihi Band of Wintun Indians of the Colusa Indian Community, Quetzal-Dihi Wintun Nation, and Yocha-Dihi Wintun Nation. The Patwin people have remained committed to the stewardship of this land over many centuries. It has been cherished and protected as elders have instructed the young through generations. For those of us currently here in Davis, we are honored and grateful to be here today on their traditional lands. And for those of us who are not in Davis, we are almost certainly on lands long stewarded and cherished by Indigenous communities throughout our country and world. Most of us are immigrants to this beautiful place, and we can all be thankful to be here and to have the privilege and opportunity to care for this land, our planet, and each other. We should also take a minute to observe that the effects of climate change will fall disproportionately on disadvantaged communities, on nations with less wealth and greater vulnerability, and on the young and unborn. The Sustainability Summit is an annual opportunity to gather and share inspiration, news, and announcements about progress towards a more sustainable future at UC Davis, and of course, to celebrate our Sustainability Champion Award winners. It is also a time to reflect on where we need to go and what we need to learn and do to get to where we need to go. In 2021, we are experiencing a serious drought in California and much of the Western US. We are living in the unfolding climate crisis, and we are grappling with racial violence while living through a pandemic. And yet I come to you with optimism and hope. How can I come to you with any optimism at a time like this? It's because of collaborative structures like the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, still may be the only UN effort that all nations came to consensus on, and with a core principle of leaving no one behind while protecting our planet, our home. I strongly believe that we cannot have a healthy planet without social justice and equitably served people. And we will not have social justice and equity without a healthy planet. For me, sustainability is not deep ecology, it is about people and our relationship with each other and with our planet, and our human capacity to listen and learn and to restore and repair is what I believe creates a wellspring of optimism to dip from even at seemingly bleak times. So again, welcome to our summit. And it's now my privilege and my pleasure to introduce Renetta Garrison-Tull as our first keynote speaker at today's summit. Dr. Tull is an American electrical engineer, global policy strategist, and works to advance diversity and inclusion in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. She is UC Davis's inaugural Vice Chancellor for Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, which houses academic diversity, the Office of Campus Community Relations, and Health, Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion, which is part of UC Davis Health in Sacramento. Dr. Tull works with sustainability and global affairs on projects related to sharing the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals with the campus. This unique and powerful collaboration of our three units is part of what we are here celebrating today. Vice Chancellor Benedetto, welcome, and thank you for coming to speak to us about the intersection between social sustainability and environmental sustainability. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Camille. And hello to everyone. It's so good to be with you this morning. And Camille, I want to also just take a minute to thank you for your leadership in sustainability and just the way that you you bring both expertise and humility to the process, to the programming, and to all of the work. Thank you so much. Interestingly enough, some of the things that I'm going to talk about, you've already mentioned a little bit, just with the SDGs. And for this particular time, and maybe I'll have, if I have another chance next year to have more information, I certainly will do that. But I also wanted to just say how wonderful it has been over the last year for our Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion to have this wonderful partnership with the Office of Sustainability and also with Global Affairs on a series of projects connected to the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, or the SDGs, as we have come to call them, and just be so strongly connected to them. When we think about the SDGs, some of the things that come to mind immediately when we think about sustainability are SDG number 6, clear water and sanitation. SDG number 7, affordable and clean energy. SDG number 11, sustainable cities and communities. SDG number 12, responsible consumption and production. And of course, SDG number 13, climate action. And these are themes that all of us can get behind. But one of the things that I'm hoping to see is more engagement and involvement from diverse groups. The Diversity and Inclusion Strategic Plan that was developed in 2017 for the university also rolls up into the Chancellor's plan of To Boldly Go in Goal 3. And one of the first things that it says in the Diversity and Inclusion Strategic Plan is that we want to be able to attract and retain diverse students. And Goal 2 talks about the same thing for faculty and staff. Now, I have always thought about things connected to the SDGs and these wonderful opportunities to provide solutions to challenges as conduits that can actually help with attraction, help with recruitment, and also help with retention of diverse groups. And I really think that as we start to connect these types of themes and share these types of themes across groups, that we will get more people involved and engaged over time in this very meaningful work. In some cultures, it's very important to do an invitation and to have an invitation to engage. And I think that that's one of the things that we will like to do in the near future, to make sure that we're reaching out to groups across campus, to groups who have been traditionally marginalized, historically marginalized, and who may not think that this work is for them or that there's an opening for them to connect. And so an invitation to engage is crucial. We want to reach out and invite people from many different backgrounds to participate. Because after all, we're talking about trying to have some solutions to the world's problems. The SDGs stress everything, as the UN says, from zero poverty, zero hunger, good health, quality education, gender equality, clean water and sanitation, affordable clean energy, decent work, economic growth and innovation, reduced inequality, sustainable cities, again, responsible consumption, climate action, unpolluted oceans and land, and partnerships to achieve the goals. Now, goal number 17 is exactly that, partnership. Partnership to achieve the goals. And that's going to be key. That's where we are. And so I am just pleased to be partnering with this particular office to think about some of the ways that we can connect people who have not necessarily been connected in this work. When we think about intersections and intersectionality, many of the times and most of the work that came from Kimberly Crenshaw in intersectionality actually started with looking at things that were happening in the workplace between women and then happening with Black women in particular, and bringing those together to say that there are issues that actually affect both sides and that you can't really take them apart in some cases to handle some of the different kinds of discrimination things that were happening. And so when we think about moving forward, when we think about opening up different ways of connecting across research, connecting across developing solutions, having this partnership and having this opportunity to work together, our office in DEI, the Office of Sustainability, across the SDGs and other things, I think will be very crucial. And I'm happy to be involved in this work. Just as a piece of my background, this is my backyard. And one of the things that I am really interested in and have tried to even embrace coming to Davis is just a better connection to the land myself, more of an appreciation of the land, an appreciation for the people who were originally part of this land, the indigenous people who are part of Davis and other lands, and recognizing that, recognizing people who are working the land and caring for the land. And one of the things that we've been learning across campus is that we have, particularly in our Native communities, people who have been caring for the land diligently and lovingly for generations. And so we're grateful for that caretaking, and we can learn from them as we try to now continue in those kinds of traditions. So again, I thank you for this opportunity. Thank you for the opportunity to continue to be involved and connected to this work. And I look forward to our continuing partnership. And I'll turn it back over to you, Camille. Thank you again.
Thank you so much, Renetta. Vice Chancellor Renetta Toll, well, thank you again for setting the tone for our summit today and for offering us a rich context to frame our discussions. I was particularly struck by your call to issue invitations to engage. I think that is a really fantastic framing. And I just want to say your backyard is gorgeous. Thank you so much. So it's now my pleasure to introduce our next speaker, and sustainability has continued actively partnering with Global Affairs this past year on a variety of sustainability related activities, including hosting a second Humphrey Fellow as a professional affiliate in our office and jointly running the World Climate Simulation again this May. And we've been collaborating, as you just heard, with Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion and Global Affairs on a number of UN Sustainable Development Goals related projects and programs at UC Davis. Today, Jolynn Shoemaker joins us to share more of Global Affairs efforts, looking from local to global, how is it sustainable? And Jolynn Shoemaker is the Director of Global Engagements in Global Affairs at UC Davis. She leads efforts to promote the UN Sustainable Development Goals, the SDGs, coordinates Global Centers Initiative, and supports other strategic global initiatives and partnerships. Jolynn, welcome.
Thanks so much. It's always a pleasure to be part of the trio of these three offices. I really enjoyed Renetta's insights and comments. And thank you so much, Camille, for inviting me to take a few moments to share more. You'll all see I live and breathe the SDG agenda. It's behind me in case you want to glance at some of the goals there. Camille and Renetta already did a beautiful job setting up what the SDGs are about. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that in the brief time I have today. And certainly want to make sure that the invitation is very clear to all of you and your contacts to feel free to be in touch with me with Global Affairs at any time. We welcome that. We would love that. So we want to know what you're doing. So as probably all of you know, the UN Sustainable Development Goals were adopted in the year 2015. It's an agenda that runs through the year 2030. It's a very ambitious agenda. There are 17 goals, those listed behind me, but there are 169 targets and 247 indicators Renetta just explored some of the specific targets that are really meaningful to sustainability and to diversity, equity, and inclusion. I encourage people who are interested to visit the UN Sustainable Development Goals webpage to explore a little bit. There's a lot of information out there, a lot of information on how different countries and locations and institutions are doing on these targets and indicators. And I'll talk a little bit more about what UC Davis is doing. But the goals are really focused on actions in key areas. Those are prosperity for all people, planet, peace, and partnership. So there are these large areas where we need to work forward in collaboration for the future of all of humanity and our planet. And what's special about the SDGs is really that they're interconnected, they're indivisible. So they really look at the issues of economic, social, and environmental together. And that's really important, and it's been really important, especially for our three offices. It's one of the reasons that we all came together on this agenda, because each of our offices has unique aspects and angles and expertise on these three areas. So why is the SDG agenda so important for UC Davis? Why are we focusing so much attention on it? Well, first off, the agenda itself is really interlinked and supports our campus priorities. As Renetta mentioned, to boldly go. The SDG agenda really relates and supports each of those goals within To Boldly Go. And we feel that also as a land grant university, we have a very special, important role to play in furthering this agenda. It's also it's been very important, I think, for all of us as a common framework. In global affairs, we're working with partners all around the world, across continents. And one thing is the SDG agenda, as soon as we start talking about that, it's a point of commonality. There is a common commitment. It allows and enables and nurtures our partnerships to move forward, for us to focus on areas that we really want to advance together. So it's been an extremely valuable tool for us to speak across contexts and cultures on our common issues of concern. And it's also really important as a bridger. It is an agenda that is just as important at the campus level and local level as it is at the international level. And that's really unique because oftentimes we do get in our own silos of work, our own silos of expertise, or our own silos of geography. And this is an agenda that really pushes out of that so that we can learn from the local and from the global together. And it's very powerful for that reason. And we've seen that in action in many ways. And also, as Renetta said, a key piece of this is the concept of leave no one behind. So we shouldn't be using approaches that are inadvertently or consciously leaving groups of people, segments of the population behind in our efforts to make advances for sustainable development. And that really resonates with UC Davis as a campus. And so we've been really putting that forward in our work on the SDG agenda. So we know that our partners, both locally, increasingly locally and globally, are really committed to this agenda. And we feel that we can do really great things together. So it's really one of collaboration. And so I think that what's been phenomenal is just working within global affairs with sustainability and DEI and seeing how much more powerful our impact can be when we work together, and also how we're really able to leverage our unique contacts, our unique networks and so forth. UC Davis has been engaging with a variety of international networks on the SDGs, and I can definitely share those. A couple of them are the University Global Coalition, and the UN Sustainable Development Solutions Network, but many other networks that UC Davis is a part of, academic regional networks, are increasingly embracing the SDG agenda. And so we're really being able to engage in new ways around that. It's really been fantastic for us to, as you all may know, we have unique strength on the campus in internationalization, sustainability, and diversity. We've been recognized on all fronts, so to bring those together for this agenda is quite powerful. As Camille and Renetta mentioned, we have been doing a variety of events. One of our key goals has been to raise awareness of this agenda on campus and to really make it relevant to what people are working on so that they can see the linkage between whatever discipline or whatever project they're working on and really its effects globally. So this has been great. We're partnering on grant opportunities. I can share some links in the chat after I speak. So those are there for campus, for faculty, but also others who want to engage in conferences and speak on the SDG projects and so forth. But also we are starting to embark on a really important project. It's a campus initiative called the Voluntary University Review. And here is my invitation for everyone on campus to participate in this initiative. It's going to be very important for UC Davis. We're going to be one of the first universities to complete a voluntary university review on the SDGs. Many countries around the world have done voluntary national reviews to track their progress and to share their experiences, and increasingly cities around the world, including Los Angeles and New York, have completed voluntary local reviews. So now it's our turn as a university to start gathering information around what we're doing across campus and find ways that we can really strengthen our efforts and bring together some of our efforts, scale them up, and make them have even more impact. So we want all of you to participate. We want you all to share your information, and we have an online portal, which is a really easy way to do that, which I will share, but you can visit vur.ucdavis.edu to learn a little bit more about this initiative that our 3 offices are engaged with. And I'll put some links on chat to share, and I'll put my email as well. And please do reach out anytime with ideas or projects and what you're doing. And we would love to amplify your efforts and to connect you with our networks and contacts around the world. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Jolene, so much for characterizing the ways that UC Davis is working to advance the SDG agenda with our tools and knowledge in service of the core goals to leave no one behind and to protect our planet. So we are going to have a slight pivot. We are going to actually intersperse our CNI fellows so that you get tastes of what they're working on, kind of coupled with different groupings in our agenda. Right now, we're going to hear from one of our student CNI fellows, Jenna Deutschman, who is, she is a 4th-year atmospheric science major, and she has a research project that she's been doing for her CNI project focused on palm oil. So we'll hear from Jenna now, and then we'll later hear from our other 2 CNI fellows, Ali Larman and Alyssa Palmer. So with that, may I invite Jenna to come and speak to us about the work that she's been doing on palm oil research.
Hi, thanks, Camille.
Thank you.
So I've always been very fascinated by the environment, and namely the atmosphere. And I've been interested in climate change, like probably since I was a sophomore, junior in high school. I study atmospheric science, so obviously I'm quite interested in the physical processes being climate change, but you don't really learn much about how to tie that in with the real world and the environmental impacts. And so the Carbon Neutrality Initiative has really given me the opportunity to explore how we actually account for greenhouse gases and how we measure just the magnitude of impact in environmental impact assessments. So I'm really thankful for this opportunity to be a Carbon Neutrality Initiative Fellow. And yeah, so my research project is about palm oil, which is a major driver of deforestation and peatland drainage in Indonesia and Malaysia. It's important to carbon neutrality because it sort of opens a door to very relevant carbon emissions that aren't currently within the scope of our climate action plan, and just sort of measuring the magnitude of impact in comparison to what is included. And that's namely comparing carbon sink loss caused by these overlooked sources, which palm oil is. And we spend so much time concerning ourselves with different various carbon offsets, and yet there are still these overlooked drivers of deforestation. And hopefully someone can use this information to have a positive impact in the future.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. So Jenna, thank you. I am so excited. I know you got to present to the university retirement community, and I got a chance to see the way you put your presentation together, and it's really interesting, really exciting. Thank you again for the work that you're doing in the CNI Fellowship. Now we're going to hear from one of our faculty members who will speak to us about the power of collaborative research, which happens very much at the Muir Institute and One Climate Initiative. So the power of collaborative interdisciplinary research to find solutions to society's grand challenges is embodied in the kinds of work that are fostered by the John Muir Institute of the Environment and the One Climate Initiative. Our final keynote speaker before our awards ceremony is Dr. Mejdi Abu Najim, and Dr. Najim is a faculty member of the Department of Land, Air, and Water Resources. He's also the Associate Director of the Muir Institute and the champion of the UC Davis One Climate Big Idea. His research focuses around sustainable development and studying and optimizing the biophysical processes along the water, soil, plant, atmospheric continuum for sustainable resource management. He is particularly interested in building decision support tools that optimize the nexus between water, energy, and food, as well as in sustainable designs for poverty alleviation. Dr. Najim, we look forward to hearing from you, and welcome.
Thank you so much, Camille, for this very kind introduction. What a pleasure to be here. I can see already lots of familiar faces of colleagues, students, and many of the awesome UC Davis community that I've worked with, and many others that I look forward to learning more about their work and collaborating with them. Also, thanks for putting transdisciplinary research and collaboration as the first thing you introduce us with, because I really believe that if we want to be true agents of change, and if we really want to get to the level of making an impact at the sustainability level, no one problem can be solved at the same time. I mean, I firmly believe that the age of solving our big challenges, one challenge at a time, is really long gone. So with that, it is really a true honor to speak today to congratulate an extraordinary group of individuals who really led by example and demonstrated exceptional commitment to sustainability. As you all know, our world is changing, and it's changing very quickly. And we have so many moving parts. A few examples here: atmospheric carbon dioxide was 20%, 21%, in fact, less just when I was born as compared to today. This would give you probably a way to guess my age, but that's not the intention. It was 332 parts per million back then. Today, just this morning, it was 419.8 parts per million. And this is how much our atmosphere has accumulated just during my lifespan today. And this doesn't end with CO2. Population grew from 4 billion into 7.8 billion today, and is projected to come to 9.7 billion by 2050. And this is only me, and I'm not a 1 million year old rock or a 1,000-year-old redwood. I'm just a fellow human. I'm just a drop in the space and time continuum. So back to the atmosphere, to our environment, and to us humans, Think about all the resources that we need just to provide the basic needs like water, like energy, and like food in a sustainable way. Just today, we live in a world with more than 800 million fellow humans who are malnourished or with no access to electricity. So given my friend and colleague Jolene, these are SDGs 2 and 7, also about 1 billion living in slum. And this reminds us of SDGs 1 and 11, among many others. And with about 2 billion with no access to clean water, and that's SDG 6. And guess what? By 2050, we will need 60% more food. We will need 40% more water and 50% more energy, plus obviously homes to 2 additional billion fellow humans. So you can see we are in dire need for agents of change, and the challenge is real. So sustainability is not an option. It is our only choice. And as we celebrate the achievements of our students, staff, faculty, and the entire UC Davis community, I want to stress on our comprehensive approach to sustainability that embraces its 3 pillars: the environment, the society, and the economy. As we work on solutions, let's aim high. And as we literally need to change, and hopefully we can change the world. We need far-reaching solutions. We need to embrace the SDGs and think of local methods to extend them and apply them to communities. And as we embrace diversity and inclusion, our solutions will only succeed if we approach sustainability with its 3 pillars and make them affordable, accessible, and inclusive. Take it from someone who lived in a place where electricity is celebrated every time it comes. And trust me, it comes many times every day because it goes many times every day. So food, water, poverty, education, pollution, all are challenges, and they all need solutions and agents of change like you. So let's work together, because together we can make a difference. Go Aggies, what a privilege and a responsibility to be a global leader in sustainability. Thank you for inviting me, and thank you, Camille, for your leadership.
Thank you so much, Dr. Najim, for drawing the connections between systems thinking-based research and meaningful action, and for characterizing the power of committed and collaborative research to advance solutions to society's biggest challenges. Thank you so much. And thank you to all of our keynote speakers for helping to inspire us and to challenge us to take action. Now I will turn the program over to my colleague, Sue Vang, our Sustainability Engagement and Zero Waste Program Manager. Sue will set the stage for our Sustainability Champion Awards, who have been busy themselves taking action for a more sustainable world. Sue, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Camille. And now the moment we've been waiting for, the announcement of our Sustainability Champion Award recipients. UC Davis Sustainability Champions are environmental leaders on campus, students, staff, and faculty who exemplify why UC Davis continues to stay at the top of environmental rankings, such as the University of Indonesia's Green Metric. These champions are selected based on their contributions and service to the following goals. Goal A, to help foster a sustainable campus and integrate environmental sustainability on campus outside of their expected job functions or academic responsibilities. Goal B, to advocate for environmental stewardship and sustainability as part of a campus culture of sustainability. And goal C, to learn about and create awareness of environmental justice, climate justice, and diversity, equity, and inclusivity issues on campus. It is my pleasure to introduce Chancellor Gary S. May, a strong supporter of our sustainability efforts here at UC Davis, who will announce the recipients of the 2021 UC Davis Sustainability Champion Awards. Chancellor May is a highly engaged leader with a passion for helping others succeed. He believes success is best judged by how we enhance the lives of others. Throughout his career, he's championed diversity, equity, and inclusion in both higher education and the workplace. He's developed nationally recognized programs that attract, mentor, and retain underrepresented groups in the STEM fields of science, technology, engineering, and math. In 2015, President Obama honored him with the Presidential Award for Excellence in STEM Mentoring. In 2021, he received the prestigious Lifetime Mentor Award from the American Association for the Advancement of Science for demonstrating extraordinary leadership to increase participation of underrepresented groups in the fields of science and engineering. May was inducted to the National Academy of Engineering in September 2018 for his successful diversity efforts and his innovations in semiconductor manufacturing. In April 2020, he was elected to the American Academy of Arts and Sciences for educational and academic leadership. As UC Davis's 7th chancellor, his vision is to lead UC Davis to new heights in academic excellence, inclusion, public service, and upward mobility for students from all backgrounds. Chancellor May earned his master's and PhD degrees in electrical engineering and computer science at UC Berkeley. He's won numerous awards for his research in computer-aided manufacturing of integrated circuits. Please join me in welcoming Chancellor Gary May, an unwavering supporter of UC Davis sustainability.
Well, thank you, Sue. It's for the nice introduction. Hello, everyone, and thank you for being here. I have the pleasure of announcing the recipients of this year's Sustainability Champion Awards. In the midst of a climate crisis, sustainability efforts to protect and improve our environment and to create a more diverse, equitable, and inclusive world are more important than ever. The COVID-19 pandemic reminds us just how fragile and interconnected our world is. All the students, staff, and faculty who were nominated, including the 4 awardees we're honoring today, are a testament to the impact of UC Davis as a top global research university. We're advancing sustainable solutions for the world's most critical issues. UC Davis is driven to be a model of environmental sustainability. These values can easily be seen in action in our research, scholarship, and public service. In particular, our students deserve special recognition. They volunteered their time and leadership to help make UC Davis more sustainable, all while balancing the rigors of their academics, work, and other extracurricular commitments. Please join me in thanking all of the students nominated as Sustainability Champions this year. Let's hear it for Maya Badiri, graduating this year with degrees in environmental policy, analysis, and planning, and in economics. LD Lazaro, a graduate student in the design department. Megan Lynch from the graduate group of horticulture and agronomy. Abigail Mael, a 4th-year political science major. Megan Phillips, a 4th-year environmental science and management major. And Cody Yothers, a graduate student in the chemistry department. Let's also thank everyone who took the time to let us know about their deserving colleagues, peers, and students. And finally, I want to thank all of you here today for everything you do to support sustainable activities and engagement at UC Davis. And now I'm pleased to announce this year's 4 recipients of the Sustainability Champion Awards. Please join me in congratulating our student sustainability champion, Hunter Ottman. He's graduating with a Bachelor's of Science degree in landscape architecture at the end of this quarter. In his short time at UC Davis, Hunter has provided tremendous service to advance sustainability as a student leader and activist. He served as chair of the ASUCD Environmental Policy and Planning Commission. He helped advocate for UC Davis certification as a fair trade university and is currently leading a team to encourage all UCs to become fair trade designated. Hunter also serves as the professional liaison for the UC Davis student chapter of the American Association of Landscape Architects and as the ASUCD liaison for the UC Davis Green Initiative Fund Student Committee. Last year, he co-founded the UC Davis Environmental Sustainability Student Coalition. Their mission is to address sustainability challenges by forming long-standing partnerships among UC Davis student environmental organizations. After graduating, Hunter plans to pursue a master's degree in landscape architecture and a career dedicated to sustainable development, protecting the natural environment. According to his nominators, Hunter believes in enabling others to find the overlap of sustainable enterprise with their own personal passions. He's been an impactful mentor and advisor to his peers. I'm pleased to present you with the Student Sustainability Champion Award, Hunter Ottman. Now, Hunter, I invite you to turn on your video and microphone and say a few words.
Thank you, Chancellor May, and thank you all so much. I'm truly honored to be this year's recipient and beyond grateful for the opportunities that have been afforded over the past 5 years and proud of the progress that I've had the privilege of playing a part in making. I have absolutely loved working with and getting to know such an inspiring and passionate variety of students, staff, and faculty, many of whom I see on this call. My efforts are nothing more than an extension of your work and your support. I want to draw attention to the countless student leaders and champions that I've had the pleasure of working alongside during my time at Davis. You have my deepest gratitude. You've inspired, motivated, and supported me. And more importantly, you have ceaselessly worked on behalf of the student body, advocating for the changes we need to see, and you have put your time, sweat, and hearts into creating a more sustainable world for all. Lastly, to quote an old wizard, while we may come from different places and speak in different tongues, our hearts beat as one. As we all face the existential threats of our century, we have no choice but to rise to the challenge. And to do so, I believe that we must recognize our strength comes from our ability to work with one another, to engage and inspire each other, and to see through the illusion of separateness. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Hunter. Next, please join me in congratulating Barbara Gumnor, a nurse manager at our UC Davis Health Campus. Barbara has more than 30 years of nursing experience that includes bedside nursing and clinical education. For the past 12 years, she's worked in management. She promotes teamwork and collaboration as evidenced by increased staff and patient satisfaction scores. Barbara is devoted to cultivating staff and leaders alike by taking a supportive role in professional development. She serves as a leading empowered organization facilitator and finds it rewarding to support leaders as diverse individuals who truly aspire to be the best they can be. She's also contributed to recent hospital initiatives to improve biohazardous red bag waste disposal and to thoughtfully reimagine the hospital's waste logistics. All of this illustrates her dedication to practicing sustainability and fiscal responsibility in alignment with meeting the goals from the Patient Care Services Strategic Plan. According to her nominators, Barbara's advocacy and initiative led to the adoption of a division sustainability goal for fiscal year 2020-2021. Her successful efforts to reduce medical waste have far-reaching impact beyond the Sacramento campus as others look to replicate them on their own health campuses. I'm pleased to present you the Staff Sustainability Champion Award for the Health Campus, Barbara Gumnor. Barbara, I invite you to say a few words.
Thank you, Chancellor May. Thank you for this award, and I'm truly humbled in receipt of it. And I'd like to highlight this honor on behalf of our entire team and wonderful leadership because, as you all are aware, it takes a village. So I'm so glad to be part of our sustainability success with such a fantastic team, and thank you all very much.
Thank you, Barbara. Next, please join me in congratulating our next recipient, Casey Woodward, a staff veterinarian at the Campus Veterinary Services. When Casey began working as a veterinarian for the Office of Research with Campus Veterinary Services in June of 2019, she noticed areas for improvement to decrease waste and energy usage. The following summer, she focused on one single-use item the department uses for multiple times a day, shoe covers. In December 2020, after much research, deliberation, and planning, UC Davis stopped using these single-use shoe covers in the majority of our vivarium. This greatly decreased the amount of unnecessary waste going directly to landfills. Casey also took the initiative to attend the Global Conference on Sustainability in Higher Education in the fall of 2020. She brought many topics of discussion back to her department and formed a green team in early 2021. They are rapidly replacing single-use items with reusable alternatives. This is helping the department to decrease energy consumption and prioritize reduction in their carbon footprint. Casey is excited to be working with the Sustainability Office to help her workplace become green certified. According to her nominators, Casey is constantly inspiring others to look for new ways that their clinic can be more sustainable. She, quote, acts as an example by showing us ways, however small, that we can do our part. I'm pleased to present you the Staff Sustainability Champion Award for the Davis campus, Casey Woodward. Now, Casey, I invite you to make a few brief remarks.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for thinking of me for such an important award. I really want to thank my department within the Office of Research, Campus Veterinary Services, and our partners at the Teaching and Research Animal Care Services for being so accommodating and helpful in decreasing our waste. I also want to give a huge thank you to my green team members, Zoe Shee and Morgan Bear, for all their efforts in decreasing our single-use plastic in our department. It's been a challenging but very fun and rewarding task to determine how we can play our part in decreasing our carbon footprint. Thank you again.
Thanks, Casey. Now it's my great pleasure to present the last award of the summit to Dr. Mark Hossing. Mark has been a proud member of the UC Davis faculty since 2014. He leads an academic research program that strives to fully understand the ingenious ways in which pancreatic islets in healthy individuals have met the challenge of maintaining tightly controlled blood glucose levels over a lifetime. Dr. Hossing has published over 60 articles in leading international peer-reviewed journals. His work is funded by the NIH, the Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation, and the American Diabetes Association. He also teaches seminars on the topic of diabetes to raise awareness among his students, many of whom will go on to become our next generation of healthcare professionals. As a parent, scientist, and educator, Dr. Hossing has grown increasingly worried about the lack of urgency among too many of his colleagues in the face of the very real and disruptive consequences of the unfolding climate emergency. He hopes to find better ways to enable the scientific and teaching missions of our campuses to proceed sustainably. Dr. Hossing advocates for sustainability in his various roles on campus, including as a principal investigator and as a member of the Academic Senate Committee on Research. He requested sustainability presentations to raise awareness of campus sustainability efforts and create a forum for the Committee on Research to discuss these issues. Dr. Hossing has led by example in several ways. He's pursuing waste diversion options for hard to recycle lab waste. He's investigating environmental claims before making lab purchases. He's buying carbon offsets for all business travel in his lab to acknowledge the impact of his professional travel and encouraging his colleagues and department to do the same. His nominators say that he inspires others to take sustainable action outside their everyday activities. He, quote, showcases environmental leadership and initiative within his lab and among colleagues in the neurology, physiology, and behavior department. I'm pleased to present you the Faculty Sustainability Champion Award, Dr. Mark Hossing. Mark, I invite you to say a few words.
Thank you very much, Dr. Chancellor May. And I have to say I'm humbled to be receiving this honor and in awe of what all of you are doing on behalf of our campus in striving for a sustainable society for all of us. Living through a pandemic for the last 18 months, I think has taught us a lot. And among the things that I've taken away from this is the power of science to predict with eerie precision case rates, deaths, and hospitalizations of COVID-19. And it's a reminder of how we know exactly what the outlook is also when we apply this to the longer term problem of climate change. We are already locked into a temperature rise, global temperature rise of 1.5 degrees in best case scenario. And I put something in the chat that's an app that actually is driving my efforts in this area. Unless we're able to dramatically cut our greenhouse gas emissions, we're likely to face an average temperature increase much greater than 1.5 degrees Celsius globally by the time that my children might be thinking of starting families of their own. The other thing I think what I've taken away from the last year is a realization of who we are and want to be as an institution. We've developed a rapid in-house saliva test for COVID-19, set up the logistics to make this applicable at scale, and then shared it with our community. And I think, as Chancellor May has said, we do this because this is who we are. Many institutions would have been able to do the same thing, but it was UC Davis who stepped up and actually made it happen. And I'm hoping that we can continue to apply that same ethos to what I think is even the much greater challenge of climate change, which is going to demand our attention and unmitigated efforts for generations. We just can't afford to wait and follow the standards and timelines that are set in Sacramento, in Paris, and in DC. And we, as the University of California, as the largest and most comprehensive post-secondary educational system in the world, internationally renowned as a scientific powerhouse, if we as a community of scientists and educators cannot reimagine the way we conduct ourselves professionally and personally to minimize our environmental impact, it becomes hard for us to expect our communities in Davis, in California, and around the world to follow and do what we know is necessary. And that, I think, should include shifting our goals from carbon neutral to fossil free. I'm humbled. I will pledge to continue to do what I can to try and strive towards a more equitable and sustainable future for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mark. Congratulations to all of our 2021 sustainability champions. We appreciate all that you do on behalf of UC Davis and the planet. Now I'll turn the program back over to Sue and Camille. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Chancellor May, for your remarks and time today, and congratulations again to our 2021 Sustainability Award champions. We truly appreciate the hard work of all the nominees this year, as well as the folks who took the time to send in those nominations. And a special thank you to our nomination review panel who assisted with the selection process this year. If you know someone you'd like to nominate for next year's awards, we are taking rolling nominations starting next month on our website, sustainability.ucdavis.edu.
Thank you, Sue and Chancellor May, and congratulations to our sustainability champions. Your commitment to making our world a better, more sustainable place brings us all joy and galvanizes us to action. So I am Carla Fresquez. I'm the Sustainability's new Student Engagement Program Manager as of this January. It's my pleasure to introduce our next set of speakers. Meaningful student engagement programs are vital civic and professional development platforms for students to gain the skills and experiences that shape them as leaders and active citizens. This year, students have been taking full advantage of these platforms to advance action and demonstrate leadership. We are going to hear sustainability updates from several impressive student leaders. We'll start with the representative from the Green Initiative Fund, Ramya Chandrasekaran. She is a third-year environmental sciences and management major and TGI committee member. And she serves on both the project management and the social media outreach and marketing subcommittees. Ramya, welcome.
Hello, everyone. As Carla just introduced me, my name is Ramya, and I am a current committee member on the 2020 to 2021 academic years committee. Next slide, please. Camille, Carla, could you go to the next slide? Thank you. So just to give y'all a little bit of background on the Green Initiative Fund, we provide funds to UC Davis students, faculty, and staff to develop and lead projects to enhance campus sustainability measures. Our projects must be student-centered and have direct student involvement. We all started in winter of 2016, and as a quarterly student fee was established by referendum. Currently, we are receiving undergraduate fees of about $3 per quarter, and so we get $9 annually. Our current committee members consist of 7 voting students and 1 voting staff, and we have non-voting ex officio members, where we have 1 representative from COSAF, 1 representative from ASUCD EPIC, and 2 representatives from the Sustainability Office. Next slide, please. And to give a little bit of background on our grant process, we have 3 grant cycles annually, and we award amounts from $200 to $20,000. And we require all of our project applicants to relate their project objectives and mission to the 17 UN Sustainable Development Goals listed here. Next slide, please. And this is our amazing committee of this year. We have great undergrads, graduate students, and amazing staff members to help us along the way. Next slide, please. And I would like to list some of our accomplishments during this difficult year. We have been able to hold online office hours and grant advising sessions, and these will continue even when we're back in person. We have enhanced our social media and outreach campaigns and have sort of revitalized our Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook pages. We have a prolonged 2021 spring grant cycle, which is still currently open. It has been open from March 29 and will be closing on the 31st of this month. We led a grassroots referendum campaign where we had extensive collaboration with many campus partners, and we overhauled and redesigned TJF's website. Next slide, please. And as we all have mentioned before and know now living through it, we have been living in a very difficult year where everything is online. And so when life gives you lemons, you hopefully make lemonade. And us as a committee, we have had to deal with a lot of lemons, and some of them have been mostly our complex project management demands. We have had to deal with a lot of timeline extensions, budget reallocations, shifts in project leads, and implementation challenges, both on our side and our project ends. And all of these demands have led to improved procedures and efficiencies, impressive collaboration amongst our committee, and new adaptations and innovations applicable to beyond the pandemic. And our committee has risen to the occasion and continued to provide our students, staff, and faculty with funding opportunities to support the sustainability goals despite the pandemic. Next slide, please. And I'd like to talk a little bit about our impact on campus and on the greater community. We support a wide variety of projects, from infrastructure to research to events to resources, and all of our projects have direct and indirect far-reaching impacts. And on this slide, you see two examples of our projects, the Freegers, which you can find on campus and scattered through downtown, and the Arboretum Floating Island. And we sponsor a lot of projects like the Floating Island to provide ongoing opportunities for research for undergrads. Next slide, please. We also offer a lot of career and experiential learning opportunities, and there's multiple ways to develop these leadership skills with TJF. You could either be a TJF committee member like I am, or you can decide to lead a project or be a part of a project team. Next slide, please. And I'd like to talk a little bit about my personal experience with TGIF. I initially joined the committee because I wanted to see the inner workings of how a project is accepted and all the trials and tribulations a project goes through in order for it to be successfully completed. And while being on the committee, I have learned a lot about project management. I've learned that a lot of projects have so much endurance that even though we are in a pandemic, even though everything has been online and a lot of timelines have had to be pushed back, most projects are still willing to get their job done. They still have the motivation to keep going. And I think that's a very honorable thing to do. And being on the committee has been a very invaluable experience for me, even though everything's been online. But yeah, next slide, please. And that is the end of my presentation. Thank you all for listening to me, and thank you for having me on here. And we have our email here. Please visit our website and also visit our Facebook page and follow us on Instagram. Thank you.
Thank you, Ramya. Thank you for your update and insights as a committee member. We'll now hear from 3 students with ESSEC, the Environmental Student Sustainability Coalition. Hunter Ottman, a 5th-year landscape architecture major and the acting chairperson of ESSEC. Elise Palambella, a 1st-year PhD student in the Agricultural and Environmental Chemistry graduate group, researching in Chris Kappa's Aerosol Engineering Lab, and the Graduate and Professional Schools Student Relations Director for ESSEC. And Nikki Yang, a 3rd-year Sustainable Environmental Design major and the ESSEC Communications Director. Welcome, Hunter, Elise, and Nick.
Good morning, everyone. We are pleased to present to you on behalf of the UC Davis Environmental Sustainability Student Coalition. Next slide, please. So as a refresher to some and an introduction to others, the mission of the Environmental Sustainability Student Coalition is to address sustainability challenges and create tangible impacts by forming partnerships across UC Davis student environmental organizations and drawing upon student knowledge and perspectives. Next slide, please. The ESSC intends to continuously satisfy this mission, and to do so, it is obliged to support the university in the following ways. Our obligations to our member base include, but are not limited to, providing an administrative framework for mobilizing organizations and opportunities for resource sharing, project development, and collaboration. Our obligations to the UC students include, but are not limited to, providing greater representation of student concerns and interests for campus environmental sustainability efforts and new opportunities for involvement. Our obligations include, but are not limited to, making UC Davis a more environmentally sustainable campus and community by expanding and supporting student representation, involvement, and advocacy efforts. Next slide, please.
This organizational structure diagram should hopefully give you all a better sense of how we operate. The ESSEC is composed of member organizations, meaning undergraduate and graduate organizations, ex officio membership, meaning campus entities that are largely staff operated, and graduate and professional school students who choose to join individually. It's supported by the administrative committee, which is composed of representatives from the Office of Sustainability and from ASUCD. It's run by the Board of Representatives, which are representatives of member organizations and the primary voting body of the coalition, and the executive panel, a set of student directors that manage operations and work on behalf of the coalition. And lastly, it's creating community organization, project teams, committees, and more. Next slide, please. At present, all of these organizations and campus entities have become officially affiliated with the coalition. These being 12 student organizations, 3 ex officio members, 7 graduate and professional school students, And again, we've received support from the UC Davis Sustainability and ASUCD. As we move into the next academic year, we will continue our outreach and recruitment efforts to include and engage with more and more of the UC Davis community. Next slide, please. Collectively, the coalition's group progress in the last year has included, but is not limited to, the adoption of our bylaws and procedures manual, our primary governing documents, holding regular general coalition meetings, 5 to date with 1 more on June 2nd, voting to establish the UCD Green New Deal Committee by incorporating these efforts and work done by the Climate Reality Project, establishing the Graduate and Professional School Student Mentorship Program. We've had consistent and involved participation from our membership, supported resource and information sharing, and opened up new channels of communication amongst organizations that are also available to the larger community. Next slide, please.
From an administrative standpoint, our progress has included, but is not limited to, creating and improving systems for agenda setting and meeting planning. We opened up the executive panel director positions and made several hires, these being secretary held by Rachel Del Porto, coalition coordinator held by Maya Vargas, communications director held by Nikki Yang, and GPS student relations director held by myself, Elise Palambella. We have also developed and launched our website, which we just linked in the chat if anybody was curious to see. We've been holding regular executive panel meetings on a bi-weekly basis at this point, and we've been continuously developing a comprehensive contact directory to make sure that everybody can stay in contact. Next slide, please. A little bit about what we're currently working on: the Graduate and Professional School Student Committee's membership program, which I've been the head of. It's designed to pair undergraduate and graduate students together for collaborative mentorship opportunities. We want to keep our undergraduate students informed about opportunities in UC Davis's professional and graduate schools, as well as help foster professional relationship development outside of the classroom or work environment. We are also working on an ESSC newsletter. We're working to identify and eventually form external partnerships and updating our governing documents. And preparing for next year, we have a few things planned, including involvement fairs, preparing new committee and project opportunities, hiring additional executive panel directors, anticipating hybrid meeting formats in kind of our new age COVID era, and setting short range as well as long range goals for the coalition. Next slide, please. To learn about more about the ESSC, get involved and provide support, you can contact us at our email, which is here, and we also just put it in the chat. We, as I said before, just launched our website, which is here as well. And you can also follow us on Instagram at ucdavis.essc. Next slide, please.
On behalf of the executive panel and the Coalition Task Force, I would like to thank the UC Davis Office of Sustainability staff for their continual support, our membership organizations for their commitment and engagement, our Board of Representatives for their participation and advocacy, our member base for what wouldn't exist without an involved and sustainability-oriented student body, our executive panel directors for their dedication to working on behalf of our campus community, and lastly, the Establishment Task Force team, which has helped to make all of this possible in anything but a normal year's time. Thank you all so much for your time and attention.
All right, thank you so much, Hunter, Elise, and Nikki. It's been really exciting to see ESSEC come to fruition this year and start growing so rapidly during this past year. So as a little transition, I'll be introducing another one of the UC Carbon Neutrality Initiative Fellows. But I just want to take a moment to acknowledge that In English, we have present perfect and future perfect tenses. Present perfect is used for something that started in the past and is now completed in the present. I am not a grammar expert, but I think the following is an example of a present perfect tense sentence. We have already warmed the planet with our use of fossil fuels. The future perfect tense is used to express an action that will be completed at some specified point in the future. Here's my example of a sentence in the future perfect tense. Do you think our current society will have reduced greenhouse gas emissions enough by 2030 to ensure a viable future for today's college students who will be middle-aged in the mid-century? So now we will now hear from another one of our UC Carbon Neutrality Initiative Fellows, or CNI Fellows, as we call them for short, Elisa Palmer. Elisa Palmer is a fourth-year Sustainable Environmental Design major who has worked on various outreach and engagement efforts for carbon neutrality this year. Elisa, welcome.
Thank you so much, Carla. I'm happy to be here. Thank you guys for having me. This has been a great event. I wanted to become a CNI fellow initially because I knew that UC Davis was obviously one of the top international known schools for being green. And I wanted to be a part of that, but I didn't know exactly how or what that meant. What is UC Davis doing to actually earn that, that title of being green? And through CNI, I was able to learn how UC Davis is combating climate change to become one of those top schools. And I knew that I needed to be doing something more as a student. Specifically that I wanted to bridge the gap of knowing that there are other students. That's the reason we go here to UC Davis, is to become a part of that community. And so to bridge that gap between the students that want to do something and the Office of Sustainability and every initiative that UC Davis is already taking here to make it better. Because students want to help and they want to know where to go and how to communicate with people that can help them make those things happen. And so specifically with me and my project of CNI is understanding carbon offsets better. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't even really fully understand. I knew what a carbon offset was, but I didn't quite understand it to the extent. And CNI has been able to provide me with the knowledge of exactly what that means and how we approach it, and all the different avenues that UC Davis can take to work on implementing these offsets towards our goals of carbon neutrality. So I've been really grateful to be here this year, and I've learned a lot. I've been able to pass on that message as well, and I'm continually working to implement more. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much, Elisa. Yes, thank you so much, Lisa. So finally, as our last set of student speakers, we'll hear from several ASUCD units and programs. From the Environmental Policy and Planning Commission, or EPIC, we have Sydney Cliff, a third-year Environmental Policy Analysis and Planning major and incoming EPIC chair, and Holly Murphy, a third-year Environmental Policy Analysis and Planning major and incoming EPIC vice chair. Then from the Campus Center for the Environment, or CCE, we have Carl Zalhas, a third-year Environmental Engineering major and the CCE unit director, and Lauren Josephov, a fourth-year Environmental Policy Analysis and Planning major and the CCE's director of Project Challenge. Finally, we'll hear from Julia Pano, who is a fourth-year Environmental Science and Management major, and she serves as the chair of the Student Sustainability Career Fair.
Hi, my name is Lauren, and I'm going to be talking about the ASU Campus Center for the Environment. Next slide, please. CCE is the environmental advocacy unit of ASUCD that promotes student involvement in campus sustainability efforts. CCE encourages environmental stewardship through workshops, education, and specific student-led projects. We also encourage intergroup collaboration between environmental and sustainability-focused student groups and relevant campus departments. Next slide, please. The project that I lead is called Project Challenge. It's CCE's environmental education initiative focusing on environmentalism, sustainability, and environmental justice. We write articles and create educational social media content to educate the UC Davis community. The other aspect of Project Challenge is our sustainability challenges, which aim to mobilize the UC Davis community to participate in sustainable actions and learn about environmental stewardship through challenges. This month, we're focusing on water education and challenges to mobilize the UC Davis community. Next slide, please.
Thank you, Lauren. Hello, everyone. My name is Carl, and I'm going to be taking over the next 3 slides. So our next project, it's Project Garden, which actually has changed the name because we have combined with the community garden, which will, take initiatives next year. And we're planning on following one of our projects that we have to increase the amount of citrus trees on the community garden. And aside from that, we also want to initiate a student garden program next year. So there's already a gardening program that we are going to be working with called Gardening 101. And we just want to implement this program so that students who don't have much experience with gardening can have the necessary and learn the necessary skills to take over the full responsibility of owning a whole plant. Next slide, please. And our last project is called Project Compost, and that's on our on-ground composting operations service that serves many facilities on campus. And what we want to do is, and we're currently working on is applying for a TGF grant so that we can change the way we can transpose the compost. So going from an electric vehicle to bikes and service all the facilities that are currently don't have an established waste management system for food waste and help the whole UC Davis community and outside organizations as well to deal with all that waste so that we can meet our zero goals that we have already set for 2024, I believe. Next slide. Thank you. Thank you for listening. So that's CCE. You can contact us through email at cce@sucd.ucdavis.edu if you have any questions. And I hope you all have a great day.
Next slide, please. So hi, everyone. As previously mentioned, I'm the EPIC chair. EPIC is an organization within ASUCD that researches environmental issues and works to educate the student body on sustainability, and also works to improve ASUCD sustainability and advise the Senate. Next slide, please. First up is our internal team, which works on projects that have a scope within UC Davis. At the beginning of the year, we put together the EPIC Sustainability Guide, which is a handbook with resources for how ASUCD groups can improve their sustainable practices. This guide supports the sustainability audit, which is carried out twice a year and measures the sustainability practices of certain ASUCD units. As UC Davis became a Fair Trade University last spring, we also recently created the Fair Trade Committee, which will work on hosting educational events and increasing fair trade product procurement within UC Davis and the larger UC system. Next slide, please. Next is our external team, which works on projects with a larger scope. We created a social media series this year called News to Know, which shares information about recent environmental news, policies, and events. And we try to share action items or how students can get involved in these events when possible. And now I'm going to hand things off to Holly, who is the EPIC Vice Chair.
Members of the external team also worked with the ASUCD Office of the External Affairs on a bill that would streamline student housing approval in California. This year, we began working on an op-ed about the bill, but since the bill has been delayed, we hope to stay involved with this process next year. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Oh, sorry, wrong one. Could you please go back? I'm sorry about that. Also this year, we created the Sustainability Webinar Series, hoping to highlight the sustainability efforts of UC Davis. We hosted our first webinar during Earth Week with the Office of Sustainability and hope to continue hosting informational events about sustainability in transportation, waste, energy, and other topics pertaining to UC Davis efforts. We have increased our social media presence over the course of the pandemic and post informational e-talks that cover topics like sustainable shopping, composting, water use, and many, many more. And finally, we have a new site for our website, which is a centralized site for all things EPIC. Next slide, please. Thank you all for giving us a platform to present. If you're interested in working with us on a project or getting connected, feel free to email us. Next up, SSCF Chair Julia Pano presenting about SSCF.
Yeah, hi, my name is Julia and I'm the SSCF chair. So SSCF is an environmental committee of ASUCD that aims to provide students equitable access to up-to-date information regarding internship and career opportunities. SSCF is committed to inspire, inform, and raise awareness about all the incredible opportunities in the field of sustainability. Next slide, please. From when we started back in fall 2020, we have gained a following on our social media through our weekly posts educating students on sustainable classes here at Davis, sustainable clubs to join, and sustainable events happening throughout the year. We started a series on our social media called Meet the Major series. The goal of the series was to inform current UC Davis students about the various sustainable majors and minors on campus through advice from current and recently graduated students. We gathered information from students and performed Instagram takeovers through our social media. We also created a series called Green Chats, in which we conducted an interview series with over 50 professionals in sustainability and environmentalism. We exposed students to various career paths and career stories through educational videos and text responses. Next slide, please. We also hosted many networking events and workshops throughout the year. We hosted a networking event and collaborated with AEP, Association of Environmental Professionals, to host a networking event with over 20 professionals. We allow students to work on their networking skills while learning about various career paths. We also held a resume and cover letter workshop with ICC advisor Lynn Fowler to help students tailor their resume and cover letters towards the environmental field. We also created an opportunity and career list on our social media. We created a free and accessible virtual resource spreadsheet with up-to-date jobs and internships in various environmental fields. Here's our contact information if you have any questions for us, and thank you so much for allowing us to present today.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Sydney, Holly, Carl, Lauren, and Julia for these updates and for your service in the student government. I'll now turn the mic over to Colleen McCormick, the UC Davis Health Director of Sustainability, where she is responsible for developing, leading, and coordinating all UC Health sustainability related initiatives. Colleen, the floor is yours to share updates from UC Davis Health.
Great, thank you, Carla. Hello, everyone. It's a privilege to be with you all today. And I'd just like to start off by saying that it's been an incredibly challenging and rewarding year to be at UC Davis Health, and I am continually humbled by my colleagues who not only tackled the COVID-19 pandemic head on, but did so while still being mindful that we are in a critical climate crisis at this time. And so to that end, I'd like to share some recognitions and some successes from 2020. So first, a few awards to highlight. We were recognized among the top 15 health systems in the nation as one of America's best employers for diversity, for our diverse workforce. And we also earned the Best Workplaces for Commuters National Standard of Excellence, and acknowledging that we provide a wide array of commuter benefits. Other awards included the James Beard Foundation's Smart Catch Leader designation. UC Davis Health is, for the second year in a row, the only hospital in the nation to achieve this designation due to continual increases in our procurement of local and sustainable fish. Also, UC Davis Health was named to the Good Food 100 Restaurants list, which aims to measure how restaurants contribute to their local economies and are building better food systems. And also, typically, this would be the time where I would share our recognitions from Practice Green Health, which is a national nonprofit that helps hospitals and healthcare organizations advance sustainability. Due to COVID, that process has been delayed, and we will learn later this summer of our Practice Green Health recognitions. So I look forward to sharing that with you at our next summit next year. Next slide, please. So to share some successes in fiscal year 20, we embarked on a comprehensive planning effort to solve or address really land use concerns around parking and our need to increase participation in the Green Commuter Program. So this is our Transportation Tomorrow plan, which also went hand in hand with the launch of our Causeway Connection service that you see there in the photo. And this is a first of its kind partnership that was formed between the City of Sacramento, UC Davis Health, Sacramento Regional Transit, and YOLO Bus. So this service was launched right in the midst of the pandemic in May of 2020, but ultimately at full rollout, this will connect UC Davis Health, downtown Sacramento, as well as the East Davis Park and Ride. Some other successes that we're proud of is we obtained the highest sustainable food spend in the UC system at just over 42%. And we exceeded our red bag waste reduction goal. This is a focus of ours because red bag waste is a more costly waste stream to manage, and it's also energy intensive and emits greenhouse gases due to an autoclave process that is required before disposal in a landfill. Our goal was a 2% reduction, which you can see we far exceeded with a 14% reduction. We also completed many projects that will save over 10 million gallons of water a year. These projects included converting toilets to dual flush and faucets to low flow, a significant project where we replaced a once-through cooling medical air system, and also improving the efficiency of our campus's POGEN plant. And then we did obtain 2 LEED Gold certifications as well for our patient contact center, as well as the Point West Clinic. And also during the pandemic, our dedicated sustainability committee members helped in developing a sustainability vision and a 3-year sustainability strategic plan, which I will touch on in just a moment. Next slide, please. We were also really excited for the first time UC Davis Health had Carbon Neutrality Initiative Fellows. We had Tia Satani, a UC Davis undergrad who served as our engagement fellow. She analyzed previous practice green health and UC Sustainable Practices progress data reports and synthesized that material into colorful and engaging graphics for social media and online interfaces. And you can see a couple examples there of the graphics she created. We also had 2 climate action fellows that worked with our energy manager, Dan Mendonza. We had Leslie Nielsen, who is a graduate student at UC Davis, who helped with implementing some continuous commissioning software for our buildings. Those included the SkySpark energy savings tool, which helps us identify broken equipment, tuning of control loops and systems that need to be reset, as well as a building water leak alert, which had success really in the first 2 months of operation and identified a leak that would have consumed 650,000 gallons and cost us $2,600 about that. And then lastly, Ryan Callahan, who is also an undergrad student, and he's helping Dan with implementing our first LEED O&M project. So he's helping develop a framework for that. And next slide, please. So looking forward, we're continuing to work on reducing our red bag waste. We set a goal of 6% for our current fiscal year, and I'm excited that we far exceeded that. We have about a 30% reduction thus far. Also actively working to reduce our water consumption. And then for the UC Sustainable Practices Policy by 2025, all of the UC Health locations have adopted this goal of 25 pounds of total solid waste per adjusted patient day. Currently at UC Davis Health, we're at about 34 pounds. So this is going to be a challenging goal, but one that we feel is very important and very worthwhile, as well as aligning the health water consumption goal with campus to reduce that by 36. And next slide. And then just to highlight some goals that our committee identified in our sustainability strategic plan, we have aspirations to create a sustainability dashboard so that our data is more accessible and transparent. We want to create and pilot a sustainable champion program where we would have a sustainability champion within a department who could help lead sustainability efforts within their department and raise awareness to their colleagues. And then we also are continually working to include diversity, equity, and inclusion considerations into our sustainability work. And next slide. Just wanted to close out with our sustainability vision to create a resilient and sustainable healthcare model that celebrates the intersection between human and planetary health through mindful actions, engagement, and education that improves the lives of all for generations to come. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Colleen. It's a true pleasure to collaborate with you, and it's exciting to hear what you and your colleagues at Health have been doing to create real leaps forward. We're next going to hear from our final UC Carbon Neutrality Initiative, or CNI Fellow for the Davis campus, Allie Larman. Allie is a third-year double major in Community and Regional Development and Spanish, and she is the UC CNI Engagement Fellow for UC Davis. Allie, welcome. The floor is yours.
Hi, thank you, Camille, and thank you so much for the opportunity to share my experience today. So my first year at UC Davis, I knew I was really interested in the environment and I really wanted to make a difference on campus, but I felt lost for direction or community, and I really didn't even know how to begin. So when Camille told me about the CNI program, I kind of just took a chance and I applied. And now I'm finishing up my second year as a CNI fellow, and the program has become probably the most central part of my academic and social experience at UC Davis. The opportunity has allowed me to make tangible change on the campus culture, but also influence UC policy. And one of the most special parts of the fellowship is the opportunity to connect with other CNI fellows across the UC campuses and engage with their work in the other campuses. And for my project this year, I'm working with Professor Mark Cooper from the Human Ecology Department on teaching a seminar class titled Student Leadership for Climate Change. We developed this class in coordination with UC Irvine Sustainability and the Student Environmental Resource Center at UC Berkeley. The goal of our class is to create an empowered space to share experiences, wisdom, and ask questions about climate justice. Through our course, we hope to strengthen climate leadership on campus and prepare students for positions of climate leadership in their own communities and at UC Davis. As we come to the end of the school year and I reflect on this project, I understand that it has taught me to become a better leader, teacher, and facilitator. I feel really proud to have made a difference on my own campus, and hopefully the course has inspired others to become leaders on campus as well. I'm so grateful to have been given the opportunity to work with UC Davis Sustainability as a CNI fellow, and I'm really excited to see what the future holds for sustainability at UC Davis. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Allie. It's a true pleasure to have students like you to work with. You're very inspirational. I really appreciate you and your fellow student leaders on campus. Thank you so much. All right, so I will now share some updates about Davis campus sustainability. And I've chosen to focus on a theme of what's been happening on campus while most of us have been working and studying remotely for this past year during the pandemic. What's changed and what should you look out for when you return this fall? Next slide, thank you. So what looks different on campus now? Let's start with the big shift. We have taken a major next step in our planned conversion from steam heating to low temperature hot water heating with our big shift project now under construction on the campus. A lot of digging has been happening, taking advantage of the quiet. If you haven't been on campus for a while, you can see photos at the Big Shift Project website. This is a big step towards electrification and also saves energy and water and renews our aging infrastructure. Next, thank you. Waste looks different too. This year, we continued to update our waste infrastructure to meet our UC and statewide goals. We won a grant for a new truck to improve and streamline our compost and recycling routes on campus, and 100 new indoor bin sets that include compost collection. And we're going to add, or planning to add 250 more sets this year. We also installed new outdoor waste bins throughout campus with solar compacting compost bins near high traffic eating areas, or they will be high traffic again, at Silo Patio and Latitude. And student housing and dining services streamlined waste collection by adding compactors to all housing areas to reduce waste pickups, thus lowering carbon emissions. A seemingly small thing that makes a difference in educating users and custodial staff, and thus improving recycling and composting rates, is color-coordinated waste streamliners and appropriately sized waste bins. We are working on color-coding waste streams across campus, blue for recycle, green for compost, and black for landfill, including at student housing. Finally, the first phase of the UC single-use plastics policy went into effect this year, and the campus is making plans to meet the next phases of the policy and reduce waste. So what about all those COVID tests and extra cleaning happening on campus? Doesn't that make a lot of trash? Well, a facilities custodial services RAG exchange program gave COVID testing and cleaning a way to increase sustainable cleaning practices. Joe Williams, a manager for custodial services, said, quote, "The rags can go through the wash about 10 to 15 times until they need to be replaced. And even the laundering process is eco-friendly. And by the way, dining services implemented reusable to-go containers in the dining commons for COVID operations." So did we save any energy or water when everyone went home to work and study? Indeed, during the suspension of operations, campus occupancy has dropped by 85 to 90% compared to pre-COVID levels. Energy and water use went down too, but only by about 10 to 15%, which shows the high energy use, baseline energy use of labs, animal spaces, and other critical spaces that must remain conditioned and ventilated even with low occupancy. The ECO team uses the Energy Conservation Office team uses Wi-Fi connectivity trends to EduRoam, our Wi-Fi on campus, as the number of connected devices is a proxy for occupancy. Staying involved and staying connected. Engagement has been really challenging in a Zoom-based environment. But sustainability colleagues found creative ways to keep people engaged and learning about sustainability throughout our virtual year. Some examples. The Student Housing Sustainability Education and Outreach student team, seen here in the photo, posing with residents' Earth Day art contest submissions. Residents were asked to showcase their art that answers the question, what makes Earth so special? Facilities Energy Conservation Office created Trim the Waste Home Edition to encourage folks to save energy while working from home. And the sustainability team created Green Home Office, a new module of the Green Workplace program that can be done at home for a broader sustainability assessment of your home office or study space. And of course, we all ran another virtual Earth Month this year. Maybe next year we can be back in person for Earth Day, Earth Month. COVID did not stop our green building progress. Since the start of 2020, UC Davis certified 6 more buildings through the LEED program to reach 45 certified buildings UC Davis wide. We are delighted to announce the Shields Library was just this month awarded gold certification under LEED Existing Buildings Operations and Maintenance program. Recent improvements to the building's heating, cooling, and ventilation system operations, indoor lighting systems, and sustainable purchasing practices helped Shields Library earn gold. Major congratulations go to Alex Malm and her Green Buildings team for getting Shields Library through this process. And this academic year, UC Davis was named #1 greenest university in the US and #5 in the world in green metric, and #5 in the nation for environmental sciences by the QS World University Rankings by subject. As mentioned a couple of times earlier in today's summit, UC Davis is preparing a voluntary university review to support our role as a public land grant institution in advancing the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. This is a joint effort between global affairs, sustainability, and diversity, equity, and inclusion. Our objectives for the review are to measure campus progress in addressing the Sustainable Development Goals, increase SDG awareness on campus, and connect people. One of the things that sustainability has advanced this year is our commitment to engaging students in experiential learning opportunities that connect them to the sustainability efforts happening on campus. Part of these efforts have included hiring a dedicated student engagement program manager, Dr. Carla Fresquez, who has over 6 years of experience developing innovative opportunities for undergraduates. Welcome to the team, Carla. One day we'll get to meet face to face. I work with a stellar team, and I'd like to give a shout out to my team who worked remotely this year with grace under difficult conditions, and especially to our new staff who've never even worked in our physical offices. Sue, Kelly, Carla, Nikki, Akshita, and Alana, thank you so much for all of your hard work, creative thinking, and good humor. With Carla's help, we plan on launching a new series of opportunities in fall 2021 focused on connecting undergraduates to the many career and professional development opportunities related to sustainability. The Green Initiative Fund TGIF encountered a disappointing turnout in this May's ASUCD election, where TGIF was up for renewal. Students who did vote clearly supported the renewal by a significant majority. However, as a fee referendum, the voter turnout was too low to renew TGIF this round. Assurances, though, TGIF will continue to support the dozens of currently funded projects and award funds during the upcoming academic year. And based on the overwhelming support that we received on our TGIF impact survey prior to the referendum, we believe that once students are back in person, we will be able to campaign successfully for TGIF renewal in the near future. One last big sustainability office update. Our team has been working really hard in partnership with the Finance Operations and Administration Communications team to build a completely new website. We are so thrilled, really, truly so thrilled to have our new website done. And we hope that you'll spend some time checking it out. Metaphorically speaking, we do still have some pictures to hang and some boxes to finish unpacking, but we're very happy to be moved into our new site. And I think Katie Hetrick from FOA Communications is here today. And I want to publicly acknowledge her and her team for their great collaboration with us on this. I'd also like to thank Barbara Brady, who helped us with framing and drafting many parts of the site. Finally, a few upcoming things. In April, many of you may know that Governor Newsom issued a limited drought declaration, and then last week on May 10th, the governor extended the declaration to most counties of California. The Davis campus will be reconvening our ad hoc drought task force to begin addressing the drought, and we'll start by picking up from our existing drought response action plan. The next big upcoming news I'd like to share is that by the end of this academic year, so the end of June, Davis campus senior leadership will be charging a new campus advisory committee on sustainability with broad campus community representation. And the proposed first major effort of the committee will be to help co-create an update of Blueprint for a Green Future, our original campus sustainability plan. UC Davis Sustainability is in the process of constructing an Office Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, DEI plan. The plan will be guided by various frameworks such as the UC Davis DEI Strategic Vision and the UN Sustainable Development Goals. The plan will also be guided by the DEI statement and accompanying list of actions, which was recently signed by UC campus sustainability offices and staff. UC Davis has charged Workplace Reimagined, an effort to help supervisors and employees think through flexible workplace arrangements going forward, using the lessons from our big unplanned remote work experiment during the pandemic. Flexible arrangements can contribute to sustainability outcomes, reducing commute vehicle miles traveled and greenhouse gas emissions. Colleagues in student housing and dining services are really looking forward to their grand opening of a new garden space in Tercero, the resident garden at Tercero. This garden will feature 6 raised beds and will include a sensory bed, succulents, pollinator-friendly plants, and seasonal vegetables. This garden was made possible with a grant from the Green Initiative Fund, TGIF, and I'm sure everyone will be thrilled to be in person working together in gardens again. Finally, my counterpart at Health, Colleen McCormick, who you heard from earlier, and I have pulled together a small team to help us with the planning and logistics for a UC Davis Climate Resiliency Planning Workshop centered in justice, equity, diversity, and inclusion, and to be held during fall 2021. We are thrilled to partner together on this because we both strongly believe that resilience, true resilience, requires a big collection of folks working together. You cannot be resilient by yourself. It is by definition a group effort. Now it's my pleasure to introduce our final speaker, Bob Seeger. In the Office of Sustainability, it's our privilege to work under a visionary leader, Bob. He's worked at UC Davis for over 25 years, first as campus planner, and now as Associate Vice Chancellor of Campus Planning and Environmental Stewardship. He created the original master plan for West Village, the largest planned zero net energy community in the country, and is now serving as planning director for Aggie Square, a collaborative technology and innovation center located on the UC Davis Health Campus in Sacramento, in addition to his continuous leadership of campus planning and environmental stewardship. Bob, we'd love to have you say a few words. Thank you.
Thanks, Camille. It's really a pleasure to be here. Just 3 things quickly, everybody. First of all, a thank you to Camille and her entire team and Colleen for putting on today's event, and to every one of you who is participating. It is truly inspirational. And I want to say a few words at the end about just encouraging everybody and providing additional pathways to stay connected and to contribute. But Camille asked me to say a few words about this Aggie Square initiative, and I've followed on the heels of some of Colleen's comments about what's happening at the Sacramento campus. And Aggie Square it's a really large endeavor. It's a project that we're calling an innovation district at the Sacramento campus, and it's about 1 million square feet, so it's huge, right? A couple of things. First of all, it's anticipated, it's planned and designed. We're heading into the next stage of design now to be an all-electric project in combination with Sacramento Municipal Utility District. So 100% electric, 100% green power at Aggie Square at this big planning initiative in Sacramento. When we call it an innovation district, it's set up so that the university is going to be the occupant of about half of this project. And the rest of it, Camille just said, resiliency doesn't happen alone. It's a partnership effort. The other half of Aggie Square is for partners across every sector of government, of industry, of community-based organizations, so that the initiatives of the institution, of the university, can move forward, but so can those other sectors of society that we share the planet with. And I want to talk a little bit, in addition, not so much about the environmental sustainability. I mentioned the all electric, but some of the social equity dimensions that Aggie Square is leading the university into. For those of you who aren't familiar with the Sacramento campus, the home of UC Davis Health, it's surrounded by a diversity of neighborhoods, many of which are deeply distressed, have been disinvested in for decades, and where the health indicators and economic indicators, as soon as you cross the street from the Sacramento campus, drop off precipitously. So we've been in a 3-year planning effort for Aggie Square to bring it into being. And a huge part of that has been arriving at the role of the institution, the role of UC Davis, in participating and lifting up the neighborhoods that surround it. We've most recently formalized what we're calling a community benefits partnership agreement with the city of Sacramento, with the developer of our project at Aggie Square, who's called Wexford Science and Technology, and with our community members. And let me give you just a little taste of what's in there, and you'll see what I mean. The Aggie Square Community Benefits Partnership Agreement includes, from a multitude of sources, approximately $50 million that will be generated towards affordable housing in the surrounding neighborhoods in Sacramento. A significant part of that investment is coming directly from the Aggie Square project. Because it's a partnership project, and because there's private investment in the project as well as university, it will generate tax revenue for the city of Sacramento, property tax revenue. That gets redirected back into our project and into an affordable housing trust fund to support keeping people in their homes and building new affordable housing in our surrounding neighborhoods in Sacramento. There are other sources that combine with that to get that up to a $50 million initiative that'll be played out in the coming years. In addition, the university made commitments along with our developer that there will be 20% of the jobs in Aggie Square, and there'll be over 5,000 construction jobs and 3,500 to 4,000 ongoing jobs at Aggie Square will be specifically for people in these surrounding neighborhoods, so that there'll be job training programs, there'll be job readiness programs, there'll be financial literacy programs to help people in surrounding neighborhoods both prepare and succeed at getting jobs in Aggie Square. There are commitments around programs in the schools for young people surrounding Aggie Square that will bring the talents of people in our School of Education and other units across UC Davis to bear on our local schools and immediately surrounding neighborhoods in Sacramento. And there'll be an ongoing fund. A big part of the community voice that we heard during the Aggie Square planning process was that these were the biggest needs: affordable housing, job training, programs for youth, but also a community voice at the table. So part of what happens at Aggie Square is there'll be an ongoing community fund that gets generated by a surcharge on the rent at Aggie Square that goes into a community fund, and community leaders from our surrounding neighborhoods in Sacramento will play a shaping role and a guiding role in where that fund gets invested in their neighborhoods for their own goals. So it's both providing the fund and sharing the ownership of that fund with people directly from the community. There's a lot more on the page, but you can see how it moves the university. There's a new terminology around universities and their anchor mission. And what that anchor, there are folks at UC Davis Health, DEI, Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, that are fully embracing this anchor mission. And that means looking at how you do business. We employ 12,000 people at the Sacramento campus. So it's looking at how you hire, how you purchase the goods that make a campus run. Sustainability is all over this territory, right? Well, that anchor mission fully embraces that territory and puts it into the institutional framework. So there's lots more I could talk about Aggie Square, but that gives you a taste of how this territory that the university is moving into and how exceptional it is. And lastly, just again, to reiterate a thanks and to urge you to visit the new sustainability website. My website at Campus Planning and Environmental Stewardship is just a roadmap for how you can get to the sustainability website and the other units in our group, which includes campus planning and environmental planning and the Arboretum and Public Garden and our transportation services, and all of those groups have ways for you to engage. And the most exciting thing that we do is to really create opportunities to co-create the future of the campus with all of you. So thank you so much for the opportunity to just say a few words, and thank you mostly for all of your efforts creating a more sustainable future.
Thank you so much, Bob. It's been an unbelievable and frankly unforgettable year, and your words just now remind us that some of the unforgettable has actually been positive change, despite the bleak loss of lives and disruption of our quote unquote normal world. Thank you everyone for sharing your time with us today. We hope you have enjoyed your time, learned new things about sustainability at UC Davis that you didn't already know, and hopefully also found new people to partner with. As many of you have heard me say before, I strongly believe that no big things get done alone. We must collaborate and respect each other to co-create a resilient and sustainable future. As ever, this is both our responsibility as stewards of our beautiful planet, and it's also a deep wellspring of joy. So thank you again on behalf of the full sustainability team, and we look forward to your questions.